Jens Nordvig joins us now, Exante Data founder and CEO. Incredibly patient man. He's still with us. He sat through all of that. Jens, good to catch up. 8:30 Eastern Time, CPI in America. What are you looking for?
So I think the key thing is whether the price pressures are broadening, right? So we've already seen these crazy categories, used car prices going through the roof. That's going to eventually stop, right? So the key thing to watch for now is whether the broader set of prices is starting to go up. And you can look at median measures, like you're sort of trying to look at all the categories together. And there we've started to see some movement in the last couple of months. If that continues, that's a really important signal for the Fed that this is not a transitory thing. It could be really turning into something much more broad-based.
So when do we start to get a sense, Jens, of whether this is transitory or not? I hate using the T word because it's so loaded, but can we get some sense of when CPI becomes a problem for the Fed next week?
Yeah, I think the Fed has already started to change their signaling, right? So they have talked about inflation expectations going higher. We had the New York Fed survey inflation expectations came out yesterday, going yet higher again. We're about 4% on the 3-year measure there. So 3 years not totally transitory. So those are the things that they're starting to look at. So I think the narrative is starting to change. And I would also say in relation to markets, the way the market is responding to inflation surprises is starting to change, right? We had a period where the market was definitely buying into the transitory narrative and they looked through the upside surprises. And that's kind of changed since June when the Fed narrative also changed. So if we have an upside surprise, I think the market is going to pay attention. And that's a little bit different from before June where the market was sort of very much buying into the Fed narrative, not so much anymore.
So how is this responded to in the market, given the fact that at a certain point, higher costs are disinflationary if wages are not keeping pace?
Well, so I think we have to look at the wage dynamics and the inflation dynamics together, right? And I think it's actually interesting that you're seeing a little bit of the same pattern in the two data sets. In the CPI data set, as I mentioned, it is no longer just the autos and that kind of stuff that is moving up. And in the wage data, you're also starting to see that the median wages are starting to sneak higher, right? So initially it was just the restaurant workers and so forth. And now it is starting to be broader. It's just starting, so it's inconclusive. The Fed is certainly not going to say, oh, it's a done deal, something much more broad is happening. But that's what's starting to happen, and that's really important. If that
Jens,
continues.
can we get the conviction FX call from you right now? What is it, Jens?
Well, so I think actually if you look around the world, you have a lot of places where the Delta concerns have played into price action in a forceful way, and that is starting to come out. So there's places in Asia where you've had mobility really tank as a function of Delta waves, and that's starting to reverse. So I would say recovery in those currencies as Delta get pushed in the background and they just get access to a huge amount of vaccine is probably the next theme in FX markets to play out.
Thank you, Jens, for your patience this morning and for being with us as well. Jens Nordvig there at Exante Data, the founder and CEO.